Hello everybody, got a workout for you here. This was a lot of work actually for me. Ended up being a really big session. About 24,000 pounds worth of work, which is one of the biggest workouts I've done in terms of volume. But in any event, started out with some power snatches. And my thought today was to work up to something that was heavy and then take about 90% of that and work on some doubles and triples. So that's how that went. I have not really been doing as much mobility work as I had planned on doing. It just is so tedious for me, and I've got to do it. I have pretty consistently been doing wall slides between sets of other stuff. And I was doing that here, although you won't see it on film. That does feel particularly specific to the kind of upper back and shoulder mobility I need for things like snatches here. So I have been doing that, but I really need to be doing some more of Max Shank's work and some thoracic mobility with tennis balls and that sort of stuff. But anyway, still working on that. Trying to also receive these snatches in a bit of a squat. That's where the shoulder mobility comes in. It's definitely a fight for me to do like an overhead squat type of movement right now. I can do it, but it just feels uncomfortable and unstable. So here's 65 pounds. Apologies if you hear dogs barking in the background here. So these I did from the hang. This was the first set of 5. And really all I'm trying to do here is get comfortable with the overhead position. The pull for me is always going to be strong. It's really more about just getting comfortable receiving the bar up top. My training partners were on their way in. So I actually had all my snatches done and I think a few sets of deadlifts done before my training partners came in here. So this is just me by myself here. Ended up doing, I think, 35 sets. That was Gene. That bar could be a little closer to me on the way up, but it's not my biggest concern. Could be a little slower off the floor too. But again, my full concern here is just with receiving the bar well. I think the pulling aspect of my snatch is much better than the receiving, so really all my attention is just on receiving this bar as well as I can. That's 85 pounds, by the way. I missed my upper body, or excuse me, my lower body session on Monday. I had some things come up and I just completely skipped that session, which is a little rare for me, but maybe it led me to feel a little fresher than normal on this Thursday workout, which might have helped a little bit. So this is 105. I am using straps here, which is just a comfort issue for me. It's just we were doing, I knew I was going to be doing band-resisted pulls after this, which is very tough on the hands. So I'm just kind of giving my hands a little bit of a break. I've never missed a snatch or a clean or a deadlift because I've lost my grip, so it's just not a concern. So this next weight is 125. I worked up to 155 for a single and then did some back-off work with 135. And 155 is pretty much what my opener was on my last competition. So my snatch is in pretty good shape relative to the jerk at least. Here's 135. I think I don't know if I singled this or doubled it. I will be working on my ability to catch these lower as time goes on here. This is 145 coming up. Yep, that's not too bad for me. And then I just finished this off, not finished the snatch workout, but finished off in terms of the top weight at 155, or a little bit, a touch more than 70 kilos. This felt a little soft up top, I'm sure it probably was. I didn't really get under this as much as I should have, but we'll take a look at this. Not horrible. I really need to get better elbow lock going. My cue for a lot of these today was the idea of just jump and punch, and the punch being particularly important to me, just to try to get those elbows to lock. Even at my best, I don't have nice straight elbows on any of this stuff. So I don't know if this was a double or a single. Okay. I think it was a double. And then after this, I think I just realized, okay, that's pretty easy. So the remaining sets after that were triples. Really was trying to keep that bar close, close to my stomach on the way up. I think this second rep was a little better than usual, and yes, it was. So I was trying to keep the bar just kind of close and just lock out those elbows, catch it in a little bit of a squat. Lost my balance on that one. These felt more locked out than they look. And I think there's one more set of snatches after this, if I am not mistaken. Yep. And then prior to the band-resisted deadlifts, I did a few sets of just standard deadlifts just to kind of warm up for that, as you'll see in just a minute. The band-resisted pulls I've not done in over a year, so they're kind of an interesting challenge. I'll talk you through it when we go through there. But okay, so there was 135 on the bar. So I just decided to take this for 5 on a conventional deadlift. Took my shoes off for these. After you snatch 135, needless to say, deadlifting it feels very simple. I think I took 5 here also. My training partners are still not in the room at this point, so this is the amount of work I did before the training partners came in. Chris and Ryan and Andre and Gene was there too. Gene was doing some deadlifts here. I think I tripled 225. And then we went to banded pulls after that. So the bands are oriented on top of the bar. I think you can kind of see them on the sides. And to give you a sense, the bands tighten up obviously as you stand up with the bar. So right off the floor, that 135 is 135, but then it gradually increases. I would say that at the top of the pull, those bands are adding somewhere between 200 and 225 pounds worth of resistance. So that means that at the top, that bar feels more like 300 to 315, at least 315 at the top when you have 135 on the bar. So it's tough on the hands. And what's kind of nice about this is it encourages you to go fast, because you know those bands are going to wind up on you, so it encourages you to move faster than you normally would. And then by the time you get 225 on the bar, this is definitely feeling more than 400 at the top. Very hard to hold on to be honest. You see me shaking out my hands. And then I did, I think this was my heaviest weight for a triple. And then I did a few singles with 315 on the bar, but yeah, that was feeling heavy. Yeah, and then with 315 on the bar, at the top, this is well over 500 pounds of force, well over. But it kind of, it's not too terrible to recover from, because most of the load is not off of the floor. So it kind of spares your low back a little bit. My training partner, Chris Nye, actually did a triple with 455 on the bar, which is just crazy. Here comes another triple. And then just for fun, I decided to take 405 without bands just to see what that would feel like. And it was kind of an interesting experience, but that felt pretty light, to be honest. That felt kind of good to do that. So then we went to safety bar squats. What I tend to do is I kind of do, in between sets of those last pulls, I was doing some body weight squats just to kind of warm up my knees a little bit. And I've been talking about this on previous videos, but boy, this particular bar for me just feels so good. I can get really deep, I can stay more upright than usual, even though that's still a fair amount of forward lean compared to most people, but for me this is pretty nice and upright. I'm nice and deep. It feels comfortable, it feels safe, so just feels very productive, and I just have the feeling that if I can get stronger on this particular movement, that it's just going to be good for quad development and for my squat, my snatch, and all that stuff. So I like this a bunch. My two recent things that I've revisited that I like a lot are the safety bar and the trap bar. So, and the bar, by the way, is 65 pounds, so this is actually 155 on the bar. Yeah, I just love that position for me. And this is 205, which I think I took for 5, if I'm not mistaken. And it's pretty hard, so, you know, I worked up to a new PR on this bar today of 275, which is, you know, it's about 100 pounds less than my competitive low bar squat. So when you have that big of a difference, you know it's really working some weaknesses. I was working really hard to prevent that left knee from kind of caving in, and I think I did pretty well. It looks pretty good here. It doesn't, you know, I see it wanting to cave in, but it's not really coming in, so that looked pretty good. So here is 245, which I think I doubled. This was my previous max as of last week. Part of this, whenever you're doing something new, there's a learning curve. And I'm looking at that knee, and that's not too bad, so I'm really happy with those. I think my plates are falling off. I have a tendency to sit lower on the right side than the left. And all my knee surgery is on the right side, so I think it's like a reverse compensation. I think, you know, sort of subconsciously, I try to just make sure that I'm making that right leg do the work, but I'm kind of compensating a little bit too much. So this is my new PR with this particular bar. So this is 275. Yep, that was a little bit of work, but that was nice. And then finish this off with 225 for 5, which also I think went pretty well. I was actually in the gym for 2.5 hours on this workout, so what you're looking at is all the work I did in 2.5 hours. Trying to keep that bar level. Nice and deep. The guys were commenting how deep these squats looked. But, yep, so they were nice. And then just finish this off with the typical, you know, 3 sets of back extensions with 130 pounds. We do have kind of a dumbbell rigged up with 165 pounds, but it's just difficult to hang on to. And at this point, I didn't really have the motivation to go crazy on this, so. And as I record this, it's the following day, and I don't feel as wrecked as I thought I would. I actually don't feel too beat up at all, so maybe it's too soon to tell, but given all the work I did, I feel pretty healthy this morning. So. And so this is the final set of the workout, and if you find these videos interesting or informative or entertaining on any level, please let me know. Would love to get your comments, and we'll look to put out another one of these next week. So enjoy the weekend, everybody, and I will see you next time.